welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about a very wild case that I'm honestly a little stuck on how exactly I feel about it. Certain times I feel like the system didn't go about it the best way, maybe a little too harsh, and then other times I felt like they did, but just maybe not harsh enough. And I know that sounds confusing, but once you hear about this, you'll know why, and then I want you to drop your opinions on it in the comments. So this is going to be off of the Netflix series called I Am a Killer, and this particular video will be about the episode called A Mother's Choice with Candy Dominguez. If you are not already, please make sure that you do subscribe so that you never miss a future case. And depending on how the rest of these episodes go, I may continue covering these series, so drop a comment on that as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Candy was born in 1979 in San Diego, Texas. She was raised in a household that was honestly beyond far from stable. She stated that her dad was a drug addict and her parents used to throw parties at their house in the backyard pretty frequently, which always resulted in someone either getting hit or stabbed. This made them very closed off from family members and just not caring about being accepted by them, which is honestly very sad for a child to feel like that. Her and her sisters were victims of sexual abuse, and this went on until they were about 7 to 8 years old. This truly breaks my heart, but sadly, it also does not surprise me with the amount of parties that the parents threw at the house that Candy and her sister lived in. After their parents separated, her sister got sent off to go live with their father up north, and Candy pretty much got bounced around from house to house, which, are you really surprised at this point? She said it was to a point where nobody really wanted to deal with her anymore, so she then turned to the streets and ran away from home in 1987, looking for acceptance. I honestly do not blame her for wanting to get away from that environment, but also the streets don't love you either. While living on the streets, her friends' family members were affiliated with the mafia, so she also got involved with that and started selling drugs as well. She admitted that it was not a fun or glamorous lifestyle to live by any means, but she was lost and lonely at this point, so that felt more like home to her than her actual home did. They would sleep really wherever they were that night or go steal cars and park them somewhere just to sleep in them. By the time Candy turned 15, she did find out that she was pregnant. She went to her mom for guidance and help, just like any daughter should be able to, and instead, her mother refused to help her and wanted literally nothing to do with her nor the baby. She was struggling to raise her child, still being a child herself. This is when she turned to her cousin, Jose, who welcomed her and her child both with no hesitation. There were times he would even go to McDonald's and dive in the dumpster just to find food to bring back for them so that they didn't starve. And Candy herself said that if it was not for him, her and her baby would not have survived. As a teen, Jose did get involved with drugs and became affiliated with the mafia as well. She then chose to keep her distance and stated that she still had a lot of love for him because that is her cousin, and she did try to help him get out of that lifestyle, but sadly it just didn't work. And when she found out she was originally pregnant, she did get away from the friend group that she was in because she did not want to be around the mafia anymore. 6 months after giving birth to her daughter, she started dating an older man that she had previously met on the streets. This relationship was far from loving or normal. It was actually very abusive, and she stayed with him for more than 2 decades, during which she gave birth to 5 more children, which was now 6 kids total. When the abuse finally became too much for her, she then ended the relationship and parted ways with him back in 2014. During this time, it was very hard on her being a single mom of 6. She then met a man named Daniel Lopez, who was a major drug dealer and a member of the mafia. So we're not going down the right path right now, as you can see. It's just kind of sad. She just can't get away from that lifestyle. They fell pretty hard for each other and started dating. One of his own cousins had told Candy to be careful because he was very abusive when he's in a relationship. She did not listen to her because, once again, she was lost at this point of life and she just wanted to feel loved and accepted. After a few months of dating, Daniel started selling drugs to Candy's cousin, Jose. It was around 2 or 3 in the morning and Jose had called Candy to buy some. She asked Daniel if he wanted to make some money off of her cousin, which he then agreed to. But this is the thing. When they got there, Jose did not have the money for these drugs. So they originally started arguing, which then turned into a physical fight. During this, Jose ended up stabbing Daniel in the back. Jose then fled. He did not want to get caught. He did not want to go down for this, so he got up out of there. After Daniel went to the hospital, he found out that his lungs were punctured. He ripped the IV out of his arm and literally just left the hospital. He thought that Candy had set him up because it was her own cousin that had did it, and she's the one that set up this drug deal. On September 29, 2014, Daniel came in the house with his cousin Gabriel Moreno and started acting very crazy and saying that he was going to kill Jose for it. Daniel told Candy to go find her cousin that exact day, and if she didn't, he was going to kill her tomorrow. So at this point, she really felt like she had no choice. Just imagine being in this situation where you're being told to set up a murder plot on your own cousin. That's pretty scary, especially coming from the man that you're in a relationship with, that's supposed to love you. So he sent her out to drive around the neighborhood and to find Jose. But this is the thing, is they didn't fully trust Candy, I don't think. So they sent Gabriel's girlfriend with her, and she stayed on the phone with them the entire time. Daniel wanted to know literally everything that was going on at all times. She did find Jose with his girlfriend Sylvia standing on one of the corners that they were driving past, and she offered to sell them drugs only if they came to her house. I'm not sure how she convinced him to fall for that if he literally just fought and stabbed her boyfriend. But he agreed and went to her house. This is when he walked into Candy's room. He was shocked to see Gabriel standing in there. And then Daniel walked out from the kids' room with an aluminum bat. And he had asked him if he remembered him. Jose then told him he had never seen him before, which is when he reminded him that he was the one that he stabbed, and that is when he hit him with the bat. They locked Sylvia in the bathroom while Jose was beaten with the baseball bat. Could you even imagine hearing something like that, and then let alone it be your own boyfriend that it's happening to? So sad. The beating was so bad that Candy thought that he should have died from that alone. But he was not giving up that easy. He was fighting for his life. This beating actually went on for several hours. Daniel and Gabriel carried him to the back of the house, and she didn't think that he was going to do any more than they had already did to him because, it was pretty brutal. But she later found out that there was a bag over his head while Daniel was choking him. The day after the beating, when Candy had went to the back house, she found Jose back there dead. But get this, and I'm sure this won't surprise you, she never reported him missing, she never reported his murder, she never even spoke about it. Her daughter spoke about her mother and Jose's relationship and said that they were so close that they were like brother and sister. His nickname was Pee-wee. She said that he was always in and out of trouble and dealing with drugs, but no matter what, he was always protective of any woman in his life. He was described as being very loving and very caring. Whenever he was in a bad spot, Candy would help him with whatever she could. And as we already know, it was obviously vice versa as well. He always chose family over everything. Family meant the most to him, and he trusted Candy with his entire life, which was a terrible mistake because she literally lured her own cousin and the only one who wanted to help her and her baby out into his own death. It's so sad to even think about stuff like that because imagine him, his last moments, thinking like, this is the number one person that I did not expect this from. When Daniel had started coming around, him and Candy would go into her room and she would just come out looking like glossy. Like her eyes were super glossy, so they suspected that she was high off of drugs as well. She was explained to have went numb, this I don't care about anything attitude, and that was just not her. There were also a lot of people coming and going as well, so she thinks that he was running drugs through Candy's house, which, let me just say this, it is very unsafe to do where you live, let alone where your own children lay their heads at night. Her daughter had just turned 15, and she was honestly very scared and did not feel safe in this house, rightfully so. I do not blame her. So this is when she went to go stay with her uncle, and she said she thinks Candy herself was scared of Daniel, but had already gotten to a serious level with him and was far too deep. She thinks that her mom would have never killed Jose by herself. Daniel gave her an option. It was either Jose or her kids. Daniel supposedly showed Candy 3 dug-up graves and told her that that was where her kids are going to be if she did not do as he said, which was getting Jose to him that exact night. And if this is true, then as a mother, she had no other option. I mean, what are you supposed to do? 7 days after the attack, the police did receive a tip that Jose had been murdered. Officers were dispatched to Candy's home to search the property. And then when the officers arrived, the door was wide open, so at that point, they just went right in. From the beginning, they smelled a very strong smell of cleaning products. And it looked like the house had been scrubbed pretty clean. And if we know one thing about true crime, it is that this is a huge red flag. Obviously, it's not a red flag to have a clean house, but when we're looking for a missing person, a murder scene, anything, and it smells like very strong cleaning product, definitely a red flag. Besides that, nothing looked disoriented in the house, but they did notice that there was a shutout back, so they did want to go take a look at that as well. As soon as the officers got in the backyard, they smelled a very strong odor. They seen a bin, and as they got closer, the smell just continued to get stronger. So at this point, one of the detectives said that he knew that they were smelling a body. As they looked in this bin, they seen a black garbage bag that had a body in it. Not only that, but the body was dismembered. Like, Candy's home was now declared as a murder scene. And if you thought this could not get any worse at all, they noticed a barbecue grill. And the detective was looking at it and, he thought, oh, this looks like a nice barbecue grill. Well, he noticed there were some stuff in it that did not look normal. And as he looked more at it, he noticed that this was a human bone. Not only did she help lure to kill him, but also dismembered her own cousin and literally cooked parts of his body. That is sick. This is when they took Candy in for questioning. They were like, you know what? We have beyond enough evidence to take her in. So they took her in for questioning, and she refused to identify who killed her cousin. She kept saying that she was afraid of whoever had killed Pee-wee and that he would go after her or her kids if she spoke about it. So, despite her not giving Daniel up, there was other witnesses that provided significant evidence for police to charge Daniel and Gabriel for the murder. But don't think that Candy got away with this at all. They also looked at her as a willing participant in the killing, and she was also charged under the Texas law of parties and was sent to jail to await her trial. In 2016, which was now 2 years after the murder, the district attorney's office began preparing for trial. They finally got Candy to cooperate 6 months after the arrest, where she then stated that Daniel and Gabriel killed her cousin. She also confessed to assisting them in disposing Jose's body. She told the police officer that Daniel told her that if she were to say anything about the murder or go to the police at all, she would end up just like Jose did, and she believed him. And because her story was needed in court and she wasn't as involved as Daniel and Gabriel, she was offered a deal. She agreed to plead guilty and to testify against both of them. But she obviously was still facing a prison sentence as well. And this is where I felt like they possibly were too harsh on her because, she had to protect her and her kids. She knew that he was a dangerous man who was capable of many things. She has said so herself. And Daniel had a very violent criminal history prior to this as well. The detective on this case even found out that prior to this murder, he had murdered someone else as well. A woman named Dominique Hernandez was reported missing, and she was Daniel's girlfriend. And they were able to track down a woman who witnessed Daniel burn all of Dominique's remains. This whole case is it's so chaotic. Further investigations uncovered DNA evidence that she was shot before her body was even burned. His own girlfriend. In June of 2018, Daniel went on trial for the murder of Jose. But unfortunately, he was not able to get tried for the murder of Dominique due to jurisdictional restrictions. Dominique left behind 3 children, which is even sadder. And they couldn't even use any of this evidence for Dominique in the trial for Jose's murder. On June 5th, 2018, he was finally found guilty and was sentenced to life in prison. I personally think life in prison is better than the death penalty because the death penalty kind of gives people an easy way out. Whereas life in prison, you have to rot behind bars for the rest of your life. Gabriel admitted to being there during the murders, but he denied literally any involvement at all, which we know was not true. 6 months after Daniel's conviction, Gabriel's trial ended in a hung jury, and he was acquitted, which honestly makes no sense with all the evidence. He was there just as much as Candy was. Candy was the last one to go on trial. She went in wanting to take full accountability for her involvement. She was looking at a maximum of up to 30 years in prison. Her lawyer tried to fight for 15 years in prison, but that was denied. She was sentenced to the full 30 years on February 1st of 2019. Daniel agreed to answer questions 2 weeks after Candy's initial interview. Some people think that Candy was the leader of this entire murder. The detective even said that Candy scared him. Okay, so let's talk about this side of the story. Daniel's lawyer said that he thinks their relationship was very demented. He read a little bit of the letters that Candy had sent to Daniel while in prison, which was absolutely full of love. Every single letter. On the back of the envelope, there was stuff wrote like ride or die, fuck Bonnie and Clyde. And I think what she was trying to do with that was basically like Bonnie and Clyde doesn't have anything on us. You know, that's what it sounded like. And even referred to herself as Mrs. Lopez. So, in my eyes, if you're so terrified of this man and what he was capable of doing to you and your children, why the fuck would you be sending him love letters and referring to yourself as his wife? It's not like she was getting forced to send these letters. They're both locked up. She's safe from him. It's not like he can get to her. But then at trial, because she got a deal, she went against him and said the complete opposite that she said in the letters. This is when Sylvia, Jose's girlfriend, remember, she was there when this was happening. This is when Sylvia testified at court. It was said that they kept her in the bathroom for days. She described what she heard while in the bathroom. She heard the beating, and she heard the pingings from the bed. Her family explained that she used to have such a wonderful spark to her, but now it's gone. Like, she's just hollow. After going through what she went through, I don't blame her, though. Like, that is a traumatic experience. She said that when they went into Candy's home, Daniel started beating Jose. And this part is very sad. Jose started calling out to Candy for help. And Sylvia looked at him and asked him, like, why are you calling her? She caused this. They tied her up and put her in the shower and held her hostage for days, moving her around to different places. Still to this day, she has scars from being tied up. Daniel told Sylvia that she knew what he had did to Jose and that she was a lot smaller than him, so you get where that's going. And obviously in her shoes, she did hear what was happening to her boyfriend. So she's like, I don't want that to happen to me as well. Candy was bragging about what she had did to Jose and said that she didn't regret anything. Sylvia asked her one time to loosen up the ties, and she looked at her and told her she wasn't going to do that, and she was not going anywhere. Jose's mom talked as well and stated that Candy was her absolute favorite niece. She told her everything. Jose was her only son, and their bond was unbreakable. She said that he was always happy and goofy and always made others around him laugh. She also said that Candy and Jose were like tied to the hips. She always thought that he would be safe with her, you know, they're cousins, they're favorite cousins at that point. This part is gut-wrenching, but when his mom couldn't get a hold of Jose, she went to Candy to help her find him. I guess anytime she couldn't get a hold of him, she would get a hold of Candy, and Candy would get a hold of him and let him know, like, hey, you need to get a hold of your mom. So she figured this was just one of those situations again. But she kept trying to call over and over and over again, but never got an answer. It was Candy's own mother who called her a week after he disappeared to tell her that her own son was killed by Candy and her boyfriend. I can't imagine how hard it was for Candy's mom to call her sister and let her know that her own daughter killed her son. I told you the story is very wild. She went to Daniel's trial to see what Candy was going to say as a witness. She explained that Candy was sarcastic, happy, and almost like she was proud of the murder. She seen evil in her eyes that she had never seen before. She also believes that Candy was the mastermind behind all of this. And she found out that Candy's own children were present in the house during this entire attack. So now they also have to live with the trauma that took place in their house while they were there. The police questioned her 10-year-old daughter about what she had heard or seen. And one of the things that the detective noticed is how calmly she explained it. She said that they were watching TV in the living room when they were told to move to the back room to watch a movie back there because they were going to be moving things. She did not think that that was true because they were in her mother's room. So she didn't think that they were moving anything. And then she started hearing people scream, "Help me." When they went in her mother's room the next day, she seen blood on the couch and 2 holes in the wall. Her mom's boyfriend came in with a whole white outfit on that looked like they had blood on the entire outfit. And just put yourself in her shoes for a second. She's 10 years old. She already didn't feel safe in that home because of the activity going on. And then seen and heard these things within the last 2 days. Brianna knew what happened. She didn't seem so emotional about it though. The detective said that it seemed kind of like a normal conversation about school or something, which makes me wonder what all has she seen prior to this. They asked her if it was male or female voice, and she said it was a male voice that sounded very similar to Pee-wee's voice, saying that he was screaming, "Candy, help me," and continuously screaming for help. After this interview, the detective had many different questions. So he went back to Candy again. He wanted to ask her if she was forced into this, and she said no. He did not expect her to say this, so it really shocked him because just prior to that, she stated that he forced her to be involved. She was saying that her and her kids' lives were at risk if she did not lure him to his murder. She said that after everyone left, the body had stayed there for a whole week at this point. And she told Daniel, like, hey, we have to do something with this body because it's starting to smell. She cut it up herself and told Daniel to help with something and not just stand there. Like they're just working on a project. That's creepy. And I noticed when I watched it, she was smiling a lot. She didn't seem like she had literally any remorse at all. She was almost like bragging about this shit. She stated that she was not afraid of him and said that he was a loving person, which I don't see how he's a loving person when a loving person doesn't kill their wife. A loving person doesn't just go around killing people and dismembering and burning their bodies. But okay. She thinks the connection is still there between them and that he was her first and last love, supposedly. And he explained that their relationship was not that serious, more like a fling. So you guys, what are your thoughts on this? I know it was pretty chaotic and all over the place, so I initially felt like they were too harsh on her because being threatened along with your kids, why would you not obey the orders given? But after hearing her daughter speak and then watching her new video on being questioned, I now believe they didn't give her enough time. 30 years was not enough time. She should have gotten life in prison just like Daniel. Just like they said as well, she's still a very dangerous person. And just think, she'll be released in a little over 23 years. I know that sounds like a lot, but 23 years is not that long. Thank you so much for watching today's video and hearing Jose's story. Don't forget to comment your thoughts below and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in my next video. Stay safe.